Your body's got me weak. You're Mozart in the sheets. You make a sinner out of me. I'ma need a priest, and I'll be singing Holy Mother of Moses. I just wanna buy you roses, open every door that closes, and kiss you from your head to your toes. I like your soul, baby. You got that heart made of gold, baby. I'm gonna love you till I'm old, baby. I just wanna be your baby. I like your soul. I like your soul. I like your soul. I like your soul. Don't need to be undressing to feel like you're impressing. Must have died and gone to heaven. Gone and take me to confession. Give me five. Yeah, you got me singing Holy Mother of Moses. I just wanna buy you roses, open every door that closes, and kiss you from your head to your toes. I like your soul, baby. You got that heart made of gold, baby. I'm gonna love you till I'm old, baby. I just wanna be your baby. I like your soul. I like your soul. I like your soul. I like your soul. And just so you know, I like your soul, baby. I like your soul, baby. You got that heart made of gold, baby. I'm gonna love you till I'm old, baby. I just wanna be your baby. I like your soul, baby.
Hello, everyone. Kristen, am I sharing the screen now? Yep, I am. How's everybody doing tonight? You guys can chat in. Well, I am Lisa. Welcome to our Monday live call. If you're on Facebook, welcome. It's good to have you on here. And if you're on with us live, it's good to see your face. Tonight, we are going to be talking about putting allergies in the past. We have a lot of people that are going to be talking to you about that subject, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and get started. First up, I am going to hopefully, I don't see her at the moment, but bring on Darcy Black. She is going to share a little story with you. Darcy, are you there? Can you unmute?
Yes, I am here.
Yay, there you are.
Good evening, everybody. Yes, so as Lisa said, we are here to talking about allergies and stuff, and to give my story of hope on sinus infections and things like that, and how Solle has helped our family. My daughter here, who just graduated in June, she is the one I'm referring to here, and she since she was probably like, I don't know, 3 years old, we've just had sinus issues all the time, it seems like. And it kind of gotten to the point was like, well, maybe we'll do surgery, right? To, figure out what's going on with her and everything like that. And Solle came out with SolleClearSI. So, she just started on that when she would start to have the sinus issues, and take them daily. And then once it finally cleared up, she would kind of, tamper off. And then when something would flare up again, she would take them again. And so, but she's been, pretty consistent about it, that we don't don't go to the doctor for sinus infection anymore. So that's a pretty good thing for us. And I'm happy about it because, antibiotics they're great when needed, but, do harm a little bit of harm over time. So it's been good. And I would say, her flare-ups are a lot less since she started, SolleClearSI. So her body has learned and immunity is built up. So yeah, that's what I have. If anybody has any questions. I also have a 6-year-old that takes them on occasion too during the allergies season, and is really great at taking the pills, no problemo. So she's a champ.
That's so awesome. I love hearing that you have really taken charge of your family's health and been able to help them with this product, and I'm sure other things as well. But well done, Mom, that you are such an advocate for your kids' health. Thank you for sharing, Darcy. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Whoops, wrong way. Sorry about that. So we are going to be discussing a few things tonight, allergy related and such. And I thought it would be fun to have someone come on and talk about how we can make the most out of our Solle program. And so without any delay, I'd like to introduce you to a really special friend of mine. And she's also helped me a lot with health tips and such. And that would be Valerie Bledsoe. Valerie, are you on?
Absolutely. I need to, yep, I'm getting ready to share my screen here, and then we shall pull that up. All right. There we go. All right. So this is actually one of my favorite topics. And I want to start off with talking about something called Herring's Law of Cures, because so many people have been conditioned from, they have a headache, they take something for their headache, medication, and within an hour, the pain disappears. Well, when we're working with supplements, the body's actually working to heal itself in a different way. And Herring's Law of Cure states this: the body heals from the head downwards, from within outwards, from a more important organ to a less important one, and in the reverse order of the symptoms showing up. So what we're talking about is those symptoms that a person may have had for 5 years may be lessening initially. Sometimes we get those people where they disappear almost right from the start, but oftentimes it starts in an order. And remember, the body makes no mistakes. So it's actually going in the order from probably working more with the cause. So one way I help people to identify and recognize that their program is actually having an impact is on the day that we set up the protocol. I have them write out a list with every single symptom and complaint, concern that they have with their health, and then put a date on it, the day's date on it, and then gauge it from 0 to 10 on how they would evaluate it. For instance, if they have massive migraines on a daily basis, and to them, those migraines, they would rate them at a 15 plus, then that's what I want them to put down. And then what we do is I have them fold it up and put it away. And they're not going to look at that list again until roughly about 45 days into their program. And we'll discuss why that point or into the protocol here in a little bit. But then what I have them do is pull it back out and then reevaluate. So maybe they had those headaches at a 15 plus, and in their mind's eye, they're thinking, well, I do still get the headaches. And then they realize when they're rating them, they're going, but now actually, I guess they're only about a 7 because I'm not incapacitated anymore. And because it's their reference point that they're comparing on, it seems to hold a lot more weight. It's different than having someone from outside going, oh my gosh, you look like you feel better, when a lot of us are really good at covering up how we feel. And so if we're gauging, go, wow, before I thought it was a 15 plus, now I think it's a 7. Goodness, what's it going to be in another 45 days? And because we are educating and teaching these people how their body heals, when you actually get in and work that foundational level, this helps them stay on track and being able to trust the process. Now, hydration is extremely important whenever you're working and to get the most out of your supplement program, because hydration is going to help to deliver the supplements at the cellular level and in the blood and all the different ways it moves through at a more efficient and timely fashion. It also is going to help the bowels to move more regularly, which means it's going to help the cleaning to happen within the system. So think about water, how you can use it to mop up things or clean a simple little spill. If you have water, you can clean up that spot off the counter. No, it's not going to be as ideal as if we throw the soap in it, but it does a huge job. So that combined with your supplements means that you're going to get even better and faster results. Secondly, sleep is important. When you rest, I mean, there's infinite studies at this point that show that when you rest, then the body is able to reset and restore itself. When you look at a body clock, or as a Chinese body clock looks at what times of the day different areas of the body detox. And there's some pretty major areas that will detox when we're sleeping because we're not working them so hard. So for instance, if someone's usually waking up between 1 and 3 before their program, which by the way ties back to the liver detoxing, and they're noticing that they're getting more restful sleep, they're not waking up because the body's detoxing so much of that time period now, then they're getting more of that restorative sleep. And we have also even seen things to impact sleep impacts for things such as weight balancing as well. Who would have thought that getting enough rest helps your body to balance out its weight? Now, diet and digestion. Now, keep in mind, it's important to do the best with what we have control of. As Dr. Allison teaches, control the controllables. For someone to go from eating absolute junk food at all their meals to leveling up and maybe having complete for a meal, or actually starting to eat some fruit on a daily basis, or cook a home scratch cooked meal, or even instead of just the fast food, they're actually going to a sit-down restaurant instead, that's leveling up. When you level up your nutrition, you aid in its ability to digest, to get more nutrients out of it. And so any way that the body is starting to level up does help the body to propel forward and move towards that healing direction. So I'm always looking at how can I continue to level up, and that one little bit at a time. Now, obviously, if a person's in a crisis state, it's a little bit different and you might get in and hone a little bit more, but otherwise, the important thing is not to overwhelm the system, because the system's already looking at trying to improve and get healthier. And our nutrition that Solle has got is so dense that it's naturally going to level up your health on its own. So when you add in things like better food choices and supporting digestion, for instance, with our Vertizymes, then it's only going to get you better results from your Solle program. And then finally, too, other important thing to consider is your stress level. When your body is stressed, let's think about when we get in a really stressful situation, how many people even want to eat? In fact, often the digestion shuts down because the energy is being utilized to propel the reaction to the stress, because the adrenals can't tell the difference in the type of stress, and stress to the adrenals kicks us into a survival mode. So the more we can help control the stress, and whether it's not saying yes to everything, it's okay to say no to, when people ask you to do things. That's something I've taught myself over the years, that it's okay. I'm not letting people down, because then when the things I can do, I'm being able to show up and be at full capacity. So again, ways you can control stress with what you're exposed to, but also remember, all of your Solle products have adaptogens in it. So we have got the adaptogens in there, which are helping us to deal with stress as well, because adaptogens help our body find the ideal balance for itself in the situation that we're dealing with. Well, and that will do it for my part of the section. Thank you, Lisa. Oh, you're muted, Lisa.
Thank you. I forgot about that. I loved everything you were sharing because they're all important things to consider, right? I'm going to go back to sharing my screen again. I'm going to have to advance. Well, it's not advancing. There we go. Sorry, got to go through all your slides. Okay, so we have a great testimony from Sarah Spencer. Sarah, are you on the call?
I'm here.
Yay, it's so good to have you. What do you have about SolleClear there?
Thank you. Well, I am honored to be here and share a little bit of my SolleClear story with you tonight. I will tell you I'm very partial to SolleClearSI. It is my absolute favorite product that we offer, and it has the biggest impact for me. I'm somebody who has suffered from seasonal allergies from the literal time I can remember, and they've just increased with symptoms and discomforts as I aged. I was regularly suffering from mostly year-round allergies at this point and major sinus infections. So often I would have 5 to 6 a year. I was just over there rotating different allergy medicines and nose sprays that the doctors would prescribe me, and I never truly got any real relief. Oftentimes I feel it made them so much worse because all those medicines made my gut so unhappy. Enter January 2018 when I found Solle Naturals, because honestly, I was just looking to stop taking naps in the afternoon. And using the Solle Immune package worked beautifully for that. But then in February of 2018, I was plagued with yet another sinus infection. And my mentor mentioned to me trying SolleClear. And oh my gosh, I am forever grateful that she recommended that product. Since it was February and I wasn't currently taking any allergy medicine at the time, and I had just gotten off another round of antibiotics, I decided to do SolleClear exclusively. And by the time April rolled around, my allergies did kick in a little later and a little less intense than usual. And I just kind of upped my dosage a little bit. And that's the coolest thing about our herbs is you can kind of customize them to what your body needs at the time it needs them. And by May, I was getting like actual for real relief from my allergies. I mean, I could breathe through my nose without having to lay back for my sinuses to drain. I wasn't itchy all the time. I could actually inhale and feel the breath in my lungs again. And that is something that you take for granted when you don't have that all the time, when, you don't realize how much you miss it when you don't have it. And I will tell you, here came June, and guess what, you guys? There was still no sinus infection. So now I just kind of know what my body needs to maintain its sinus-free infection status since February 2018. Like, that's just mind-blowing to me by just adding these simple herbs with, the amazing adaptogens in them to balance out my body, to give them that fuel so that my body can work together to really give me natural relief of these allergies, which are something I thought would be increasingly worse and I would deal with for the rest of my life. So love you, SolleClear.
That is so amazing. I love these stories of people just taking their health back into their own hands and not to have sinus infections. That is huge. I mean, very huge. So well done. Good for you. That is so awesome. So next I have another special guest on our call. This is going to be Greg Halliday, the president of Solle Naturals, and he's going to share a little bit about this amazing product that we've been talking about. Greg, can you unmute and come on the call?
You bet. Thanks, Lisa. Good to see you. I was going to say, you could just leave Sarah's picture up there. She just looks so happy.
Right.
I'll talk about SI.
Okay.
So, I have to can I just tell like 2 stories and then tell you about it? And they're about SI, 2 testimonials.
Oh, of course you can.
There are so many. Here's one of my favorites. A lady comes into the office the office is not a warehouse. We don't ship from here, but we have some product here for our employees. And we have a few people that live local north of the office that like to pick their products. So we keep a limited amount here. And a lady came in referred by someone out of state or heard about it or what, she wasn't really clear, but she was suffering with this respiratory dry cough that she said she had had for several years. Hard for me to imagine, but that's what she said. And after trying to find out where, you know, who helped her and where, she could not even give us a name. One of the employees who was newer, that was at the front desk here, we had just launched SolleClear. And something registered in her docs. She thought, well, I'll just tell her she can buy that. So I think she bought 2 or 3 things, and among them was SolleClear. So we got a phone call. Don't quote me on it, but it was not 2 weeks later. It might have even been like 4 days, but it was something less than 2 weeks, days. And she said, I have not coughed since the 2nd day. So she just started, and I don't even know how often she was using it. I honestly can't tell you, but she started using it. She could not figure out why, but she, you know, or she could not believe how quickly. But the reason that isn't even why she called us. The reason she called, she said, I want to know what else is in there, because I didn't tell you guys this, but she had not had a monthly period for like 18 months, a long period of time. It had paused in her. She wasn't old enough to be in menopause. And she had one like the week. So it must have been like inside of 2 weeks, because she had been taking it for several days. And her period came and she's like, what else is in here? So we assured her there's no chemical, there was no secret, you know, get your monthly cycle going in there. However, it does have suma root. And I want to come back to that in just a second, but I have to tell you the second story. So Lon Hudman, one of the founders, his in-laws decided to do some voluntary service in Illinois, the rural end of Illinois, like I'm talking west. And I'm trying to think of maybe west, about halfway down the state, and dealing with a lot of animals. And his in-laws, like they've got a ranch and horses and have worked farm and ranch their whole life, but allergies were somewhat of an issue and became terrible for some reason when they got out there. Also, right about the time SolleClearSI came, they were sent some, Lon and his wife sent them some. It was so amazing. Here we are. It's probably been 6 years since no, not that long, several years since they went. They used it the whole time there and had no issues. And what's interesting is they had a lot of Amish that lived in the area. And somehow that's became the number. Whenever they ran into them, please send me SI, please send me SI. They still to this day are sending packages of SI out to these Amish that live there, because it was a game changer for them. So that is really just one use. And I know it's the focus of today, but it is a product that a person can very quickly see changes. I mean, that's one way to look at it. And once you get those benefits, they will stay with you. The body doesn't have to react to them and like diminish the effect like can happen with so many medications and synthetics. Sarah said it the right way. These are nutrients your body can use now and balance itself and do the things that it's supposed to do. That being said, one of my favorite trainings on this was actually done by Valerie when we launched it. If you can remember, those of you who were at that event, she talked about why it's a daily for her. She just pretty much laid out the case why. I know we can look at this as like when I have this or when that, and there are lots of uses that are urgent need, but it's a daily. I can second that. Since we've come out with it, it is a daily for me too. Definitely a game changer coming from the same space. Sarah, for me, there was asthma that became quite developed with it. And that has entirely changed for me. It's been many, many years since I've had to use an inhaler. Just grateful for that. Like Lisa said, sinus health and everything that goes around with it is nothing short than a life changer for anyone who has dealt with more severe imbalances, more significant or frequent imbalances. It is a life changer, and it is for me as well. So I'll throw my hat in the ring with Sarah's and tell you it's changed everything. This formula did not come out of nowhere. It actually is drawn from one of our 4 signature drinks from SolleClearSI. It is about half of the formula of SolleClearSI. And if you think back a little bit, SolleClearSI also has this wonderful rainbow of maca root and a fruit called kupuasu, an amazing blend that's also part of the drink. The capsule is different in that it's the other half of the SolleClearSI formula. It's the blend that we do call SolleClear, and hence the name of the capsule. We added the letters in the capsule because there's something added beyond just these clearing herbs from the drink. We added 3 herbs: horseradish, Japanese horseradish, and suma root. So a brief rundown of these ingredients. You have 2 herbs that are phenomenal in eye health. There are so many benefits that I could run down. And you remember, I don't know if you remember, Lisa, years ago, Lisa, we were all talking about the floaties in your eyes.
Yeah.
And when a person first gets on SolleClear, how all of a sudden, why don't I have floaties anymore?
Right.
That there's a story about, which are, someone's got to correct me, are those little pieces of cornea breaking away that break off? I can't remember what there's something like, Valerie probably knows, somebody's got to know on here what those little, you get those little pieces that kind of, do you remember, Lisa?
Yeah, it is something like that. I mean, the ophthalmologist, he had a technical name for it, but it breaks off and floats around in your field of vision. And that's why you see like the array of little specks. It looks like bugs. It's super annoying.
Yeah. There are, we could draw a long list of different eye health. We don't always talk about SolleClear for your eyes because there's so much focus on the wonders it does for a mucus and lungs and everything else, but it has a double dose. In the 3 capsule recommended dose would be a double dose of what the SolleClearSI yellow signature drink has. Beyond that, we've got 3 wonderful herbs. All of them do help in mucus and balancing that mucus layer that protects us, lets things that move, that need to move, keeps it from being too dry, too rigid, or too loose, finding that sweet spot. So it is not a product that just makes you run. It will run if you need to run, but it is a product that also, because of the nature of the herbs, gives your body nutrients to be in balance from a mucus point of view in not just sinuses, but throughout the body, lungs as well. The reason for that is these 3 different lung herbs, mullein and fenugreek, and let's see, fennel. Did I say the 3 right? I'm trying to remember because I'm not looking at the list. They all have their different superpowers and do different things in various parts of the upper and lower respiratory tract. And they do other things nutritionally in the body. But the reason they were included is the team that they make to clear out congestion, to soften up hardened mucus, and to actually strengthen the immune system. That's why the I in the SI, sinus immune. In addition to these wonderful SolleClear herbs, we add horseradish that I mentioned in the Japanese horseradish. One of them, the Japanese, is very strong. I will tell you there is a minute amount because it is so incredibly concentrated, the material that we use of the Japanese horseradish. We don't use very much because it is an oxygenator and a mover. And useful in like blocked airways, useful in a weak immune situation. But so is horseradish. They're just two different members of the same family, I guess you could say it that way. And I know one study in the training Dr. Allison gave us showed that people that consumed horseradish would get over a cold in 40% of the time that others. So you can suffer longer or you can suffer shorter when you get overpowered. So SolleClearSI, I think that's why it's so popular. It really is something that gets right to work because of the nature of the plants. And the last thing that I'll just mention is about this Suma. I mentioned the story about the woman who came and tried it for her cough and ended up finding out that it regulated hormones and her endocrine health. Suma, in the translation, its nickname anyway in Brazil is for everything, because it is an adaptogen. It is a root. We use a very concentrated Suma. It is not just the powder. And I will tell you the soul secrets lie in the concentrates and in the combinations that we put together. There's a lot of history in use of these plants, and they go well together in each of the formulas. So Suma might be surprising in terms of what you find it doing if you use SolleClear every day, in terms of the way Dr. Allison describes it, your HPA axis, hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenals. I was listening to her, was it last week she was on one of the Zooms, and she gave her viewpoint that the most defining characteristic of an adaptogen is that they regulate that HPA axis, that blend between these key directive glands in the body that balance so many things, including our immunity and including pretty much they're part of everything, aren't they? So SolleClear is going to be a lot broader in its benefits than maybe just what we think about when we talk about some of its most famous characteristics. But it is, I will say it's a personal favorite as well. Back to you, Lisa.
Thank you for that. Sorry, having problems here. So we had one last question for you, if you can hang on there just a minute. And I really appreciate all the breakdown that you had on the individual ingredients. And this question kind of pertains to that a little bit, but it's talking about our Soul Certain guarantee and how we utilize state-of-the-art tests to ensure absolute purity in each ingredient. And that includes the testing and confirming the absence of any microbials, pesticides, heavy metals, other contaminants. So you kind of touched, without saying this, a little bit on the ingredients and why the combination is important, but can you share a little more on this subject?
Yes, this one's actually an easy one. It's the number 3 point in the Soul Certain 10 points. It's the point number 3. And I know it is not easy to be 100% committed to this, but it's easy to do this once you 100% commit, because these are things that you just do the test in the lab. And I'll give you the sequence. Blake Christensen, one of the Soul founders, from time to time, he'll remind us of the order of these tests and how they're done. The first one happens before we ever get raw materials. We require it from the supplier. The second one happens the moment we get the raw materials, before they are released to be blended in anything. This one we send to one of 2 laboratories that we use. We actually use 2. That's something that we, in fact, there are 3 that we sometimes use. We like having more than one option because they're labs that we've been aware of for 30 years, and we trust them. They then verify what we have already been told by the supplier. Then once we blend together the ingredients, we do a 3rd test. And on the 3rd test, now that one we're really just looking at microbials, because we already know nothing else is entered in the process since we've received in terms of like heavy metals, things like that. People talk about heavy metals a lot, especially in California, because you have Prop 65. And some people are surprised to know there's actually a federal law as well. The federal law is a certain level. The California law is well above that, meaning stricter, much more strict than the federal level. And I will tell you, if I drew the stairs for you with my hands, I could probably do better with the graphic here. Here's the federal level, there's the California level, and here's where everything in Soul is. We deal in extracts, and so we're extremely low in heavy metals. I will tell you this, those occur naturally all around the earth. They're part of the earth. It's just looking at your material and being sensible about where you get it. We, in addition to making sure these are low and well within, really above the standards that are required, as you might know, many of our formulas contain ingredients which help the body eliminate them, because we bring them into the body through a lot of other things in a lot of other ways. And so we need to keep those eliminative process that Valerie was teaching. We need to keep them fully nourished with the chemicals, the natural chemicals they need so that the body can do. So that's point number 3. It's an easy one. You just have to be entirely committed to always doing the testing.
Yes, that is awesome. And I love that it's so important about what you were saying. It's not just the ingredients, it's the quality of the ingredients. It all matters. So thank you for always having that high standard, because it affects all of us. All these testimonies that you that have been shared tonight wouldn't have that amazing testimony without that precise picking and selecting and testing. So we thank you very much for having that high quality over these products.
Yes, I have to say, Lisa, before you jump on to the next one, is when it comes to testing, it is possible in the world we live to have a perfect score in laboratory testing and be a very weak and poor product.
Wow.
And that's why what you put in the product, the quality of ingredients, the concentrations, the laboratory testing to me that's the easy part.
Right. Thanks. So as you guys can see, I'm not a slide master, and we've been looking at beautiful Amy here for a couple minutes, and we're super excited to hear your testimony. That's why we've been waiting on this slide forever. Amy, will you please come on and share your story?
Well, thank you. And I have to say thank you to you for inviting me, because I think it's so fun, and it's always really humbling to reflect and to look back, and just the gratitude that comes up for some of the things we've just been talking about tonight, and hearing you guys talk about your stories too. And those are the things that just make us love what we do and continue to want to do what we do. And so thank you guys all for sharing. I love hearing your stories. Even though I've heard them before, it never gets old. But when I was asked to kind of share a little bit of the opportunity, I was told I had a couple minutes. And that kind of stressed me out a little bit, because I was like, how do you cram 5 years worth of awesomeness into 2 minutes? Okay. So I did take a few notes so that I can be effective with my time management. But what I have to tell you guys is, when I first came to Solle, I was looking to regain my health. I was a tired, exhausted mama. I was full of anxiety. I was suffering from pain and inflammation, and my digestion was keeping me from doing the things that I wanted to do every day. Biggest thing about where I was then is that I lacked the ability to even love myself. And I had lost the courage to be who I was created to be and what I was put here to do. And it was a very hard time in my life. And at that point, I had kind of reached the bottom of all bottoms, and I was looking, and through a cup of coffee with a friend I had never imagined, I found Solle as an opportunity. And I will literally forever in my life be grateful. The reason why I'm so grateful is because, you know, Solle has been so much more to me than just a business. Really, truly, it's very hard to find the words to say what it's been to me, because it's been so much. The community has been life-giving. The genuine relationships that I've made with the people here from all across the country have been humbling. Sometimes it feels undeserving to be in the presence of so many amazing people, because really it is. It's very rare that you find a group of individuals that is ready to fill your cup and to pour into you as much as these people are, without expecting anything back. And that is rare. I also have to just throw a shout out to the unparalleled education that we get with people like Greg and Dr. Allison and Valerie and some of the other just practitioners and leaders that pour into us. A conference never disappoints. We walk away with so much wealth of knowledge to share with people. And honestly, I've just received so much back, so many parts of me that joining this opportunity, I didn't even know that I had lost until I had found them again. And I have to refer back to a trip we did in Destin, Florida. It's probably one of my most favorite trips we've ever been on, because with Solle, we always have the opportunity to earn. They give back so much to us, and they always want us to be together, because truly we are a huge family. And I was challenged by my friend Greg Halliday and the president of our company, along with many others, to face my fears, become the best version of myself, and then help other people do the same. And Greg, I just got to tell you, I still keep the picture of the pants close in my office, okay? Because I will have to say that was probably one of my favorite Greg Halliday speeches that you've ever given. So thank you for that. It's very memorable. It never has left me. And I have to say, Solle has given me all of those things. Okay. And financially, Solle 2 years ago allowed me to walk away from my dental hygiene job of 20 years and retire so that I could be a full-time homeschool mama to my 3 kids who are my life, a wife to my husband, CJ. I never thought I would be so excited to cook him dinner every night and be here to say hello when he gets home, but it has been the most amazing thing in my life. And I just really honestly have to say, just the freedom and the time to be with the people that I love and care about the most. And so honestly, I will just say, according to the pants, I don't know what I was so afraid of. I don't know what took me so long, but I'm just so thankful that I took a chance, because I found a place that I belong, and I will forever just have so much gratitude for what you guys have created. So Greg and all of the founders, thank you for making this space for all of us and empowering every single one of us to be the best we can be.
I love that, Amy. Thank you so much. And you just encapsulated all of the Solle family. That was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that is so truthful. If you don't know this to be your reality, that is the truth when you spend time around the Solle family. And on that note, as Amy was talking about being around all these super amazing people, if you're on this call or on Facebook and you're thinking, I want to be like those amazing people, and I want to get to know Greg Halliday and all the other people on the call, you can do this by joining this as a business. It's super easy. It only costs $25 for a virtual kit, and the company is so generous, you can earn that right back when you enroll your first member. So within that first month. And so you guys are going to want to check that out. Ask the person who invited you to this webinar or on to the Facebook page. They will be more than happy to get you all the information that you need. Make sure that if you're on this Zoom and you're not a part of the Stories of Hope Facebook group, you'll want to be on there. These Zooms stream live in there, and there's all kinds of content of stories, just like we shared tonight, about all kinds of other products. And you want to make sure you text the word HOPE to 1-866-256-1970. You won't want to miss those text messages and all that important information. So thank you to each of you that shared your stories. Thank you for being on this call tonight. We loved seeing you and having you here. Until we see you next time, you guys have a great rest of your week.